welcome back. Today is Monday, May the 22nd, and Levi and Kylie officially graduate this Thursday. And if you are a mama to school-age kiddos, then you know the last week of school is full of gotta be here, gotta do this, gotta get this done. They have events, parties. It is probably the same chaos, I would say, is equivalent to like the week before Christmas. It is just so much to do and not enough time. But this week I wanted to take you guys along with me because we're going to prep and do a little graduation party for the kids. Now, this came about right when COVID hit. You know, the kids, they were released from school and we had to do homeschooling, and so therefore they didn't have like a graduation ceremony like they would in the previous years, and that's kind of where this tradition started. So today I need to make some graduation hats. I need to get a tassel banner made, and I want to redecorate the balloon weight that I have to kind of match the theme of our little party get together. So like I said, I wanted to take you guys along with me so you could see everything that we're doing, maybe learn a few little things. So let's jump into it, because the first thing we need to get done is we need to make these graduation hats. So jumping into our hats, I'll show you everything that we need to make these, but I kind of wanted to explain a little bit further why I'm doing this. I know technically, let's see, Levi's graduating from 5th grade and Kylie is graduating from 2nd grade. And I know that typically those aren't graduations, you know, 12th grade is graduating, but this is kind of a tradition that we did that just stuck, and the kids really look forward to having their little graduation caps. We do them different every single year. So to kind of give you an idea, in the years past we did a Looney Tunes theme, and like on the top we did That's All Folks. I think the year before that was Scooby-Doo, and we said, what did the top of that one say? Oh, that one said, well, that wraps up that mystery gang. And so just little fun things. The kids really enjoy setting down and us looking through tons of ideas of what we could do this year. And so they'll wear their graduation caps and we'll take some pictures. So it's just something fun that we like to do. But this year when we were looking, we kind of stumbled across a video game theme. It said like Game Over. But then we seen a Pac-Man. What are words today? We seen a Pac-Man theme. So that's what we did this year. And I'm going to pull you in closer so I can show you what the top of this looks like. This is what the top of the graduation cap is going to look like. And I just made this with Pic Collage. It's a free app that you can download. And I highly suggest, if you do a lot of things like this, or you make shirts, or you're into making custom signs, that you get this free app, because it's really good. But anyway, this is what the design that I came up with. I guess the big Pac-Man here and the little ghost is all I took, and then I added in the diploma, and I wrote Game Over at the top, did high score, 5th grade completed, and the year. And Kylie's looks just the same. It just says 2nd grade. But when I went to print this out, I guess my printer was struggling to do all of this black ink, because it did a lot of these lines in here. This one isn't so bad, but that's okay. I don't think it makes it look bad, so I'm just going to roll with it. So to give you an idea of everything that you're going to need to make these, you're going to need some kind of printed image, and I did go ahead and I cut these down and removed that Pic Collage stamp that was in the corner. You're going to need a black poster board, some hot glue, some kind of black yarn so that you can make your little tassel on top. I have some staples here, some glue sticks, and then this is just optional. This is a bow that I'm going to kind of place on the top of Kylie's cap with her tassel. So let's go ahead and let's get our poster board cut down. So for your graduation hat, when you think of the top, most of the time they're square. So I just take what we have dubbed the chicken plate in my house, and I will just trace this out because this is about the size that I tend to go for. It's what I've used every single year that I've made these, but any kind of square object that you can find in your house to trace, I think will work fine. So I'm going to get this traced out twice on my black poster board and then just get this cut out. Okay, so I have both of my squares cut out, and as you can see, I love using that plate because it puts like a rounded edge on here. But if you didn't have a plate like that, you could just cut a square and then take a pair of scissors and round the edge. Whichever method works best for you, whatever you can get your hands on. Don't run out and buy a square plate just for this. But what we're going to do now is we need to get our images on top of our hats. So like I said, I kept the sticker on this one, so I need to kind of place it to where it's going to cover those stickers. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a glue stick and I'm just going to glue these images down. You could use Mod Podge, but I feel like the glue stick is the holy grail and it works the fastest. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these glued down on top. I like to start with just putting a little bit of glue right on the top of the back of the picture and getting it placed down first. So I'm just going to try to center it the best that I can. Get that flattened down. And then I like to just lift it as I go and apply the glue to the back like this instead of trying to hurry up and put glue all on the back of the picture. So I have both of my pictures glued down on our squares now, and I tried to get them as even as I could. But the next thing that we need to do is we need to make the ring on the bottom of the cap so that we can turn this into a hat. So what I did was I took some strips of our black poster board and I made it 3 inches in the width, and I made it 22 inches long, because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to measure this down to the size of our kiddo's hat, because this right here, like I said, is what's going to go on the bottom of our hat so that when we flip it, it's what makes our graduation cap. Now, one of the ways that you could get this measurement if your kid's not at home is maybe take one of their hats and flip it over and kind of measure the inside of the hat to get how big of a circle that you need. But if your kiddo is at home, obviously you could say, hey, come here so mama can measure your head. But like I said, mine are at school, so I'm going to measure both of their hats and get these down to size. Now, to secure this, you could use hot glue if you wanted to, but I find that it's easier and faster for me to measure this down and just put a couple of staples in the back to hold this together. So I'm just going to flip the hat over, put the paper inside, and I'm going to allow it to have I'm not going to make it too snug. I want it to have some give to it just in case my measurements are a little off. So once I got the size that I want, I just pull it out. Gonna loosen it just a bit because, like I said, I want it to have a little bit of give to it. And I am just going to put a few staples into it to secure it into place. And then you can see that mine was not perfectly straight when I cut it out. I have some that's hanging over here at the top and some that's hanging over here. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and kind of level this out the best that I can. This doesn't have to be perfect, guys. This is just a fun little project. So as long as it sticks onto their head. And I did want to tell you that you could do your width bigger than 3 inches, but it needs to at least be 3 inches because it needs to be able to have enough width to it that it will stay on top of their head. So I have my glue gun heated up and ready to go. Now, if you're doing more than one kid, I really suggest that you write their name on the inside of this so you don't give the wrong kid the wrong size to the bottom of their hat. But I'm going to find the middle of this the best that I can, and I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to outline the outer part of this circle that we made so that we'll know where to put our hot glue at. Okay, so now I have a little guide here, and I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to follow that circle that I made. And then I'm going to take my circle back and place it on top of that hot glue just to hold it into place. You could possibly use tape if you didn't want to use hot glue, but I have always just used hot glue because I like the hold that it gives. I don't have to worry about it coming undone. So this one is secured into place, and here it is on the top. You can kind of see it from the side, so I'm just going to repeat this on the second hat. To make the tassel for the top of our hats, I'm just using black yarn, but feel free to use whatever color you would like. So to start off, I just pull out a bunch of yarn without cutting it. I leave it connected, but what I will do is I'll put my hand down flat, and I will put my yarn on the top of my hand, and I will hold it down with my thumb, and then I will start to wrap this around my hands. Now you can go around as many times as you would like, but the more times that you go around, the thicker and fuller your tassel will be. So I never count, I just wrap it around a good amount of times. Then when I feel that it's wrapped enough, I still leave it connected. Nothing has been cut yet, but I will pull this off of my fingers. And what I do is I will hold the top of all of this yarn, and with the string still attached, I take a little bit of the top and I wrap it around, making a little knot at the top here. And then once I get to the back, without cutting, I'm going to add a little bit of glue there to hold this down in place. So it should look like this. Nothing is cut at the bottom, but you have a little knot here at the top with that string that you've wrapped around. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back and hold this into place. Well, I'm going to try to put a little bit of glue on the top to hold this into place. Okay, so I'm going to get that a second to firm back up. Now at this point, we still don't want to cut anything. Your string should still be fully attached. You've cut nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out, and we're going to cut this part now. I would say the length of this really depends on how far you want it to hang off of the top of your hat. So you could pull your hat in and kind of determine where you would want it to start and where you want it to hang down at. If you want it from the side, you might cut it a little bit shorter. If you want it to hang off of the front more, you would have to cut your string a lot longer. But I would say probably, let's see, I'm going to cut mine right here because I don't want mine to hang too far. But when I bring my hat over and I decide where I'm going to place mine, it's kind of just going to hang from the top. Now, to make this more of a fringed look, you're going to go back in and you're going to gather your tassel up, making that hole again. And you're going to take your scissors and you're going to put them into that hole. And you're going to go ahead and cut all of those apart so that when your tassel hangs, it looks more like a tassel now. This one came out, that's okay. You can go ahead and go across the bottom and give it a haircut to make them a little bit more even. See, like that one right there, it didn't get cut, so I'm going to cut it. Just for the most part, going to make sure they're even. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to repeat the process and make another one of these. Okay, so I have it all wrapped and I pulled it off. Still with this piece connected, I'm going to wrap it around the top here. And then I'm going to secure it on the back with some glue. To hold it into place. And then we haven't cut anything, so I have this string up at the top now. And I'm going to cut it down. Now we go back in and we make this back into a circle that we can see through. And we take our scissors and we put them into the circle and we cut this so that it forms our tassel. And like I said, if anything is really uneven, you can give it a haircut at the bottom. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get these attached to the top of our hats. So putting your tassel on top of your hat, you have a couple of different options. You could just glue it how it is on the top, but you're definitely going to see the glue if you do that. So what I did was I took our black poster board and I just cut out 2 circles here. I just measured the top of like one of my seasoning spice mixes and I cut this circle down because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top of mine and add some glue to the bottom of this circle to hold it down into place just so it kind of hides some of that glue. But like I said, the placement really just matters up to you, you know, where you want to put it. If you want to put it more towards the middle, you can do that. If you want to do it more towards the top. I just like to do mine more towards the top because I don't like the image on top of my hat to be covered. So I'm going to get both of these secured down with these little circles. So I'm going to take that circle, put some glue on the back of it. Find the placement here of my tassel of where I would like for it to go. And then I'm going to glue it down into place. Now where I put mine, I actually have some extra hanging off, so I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and cut that down. But I really want to make sure that this stays in place. So on the back here where we knotted and glued this down, I'm probably going to add some glue there too, just so that it's not flopping all over the place. But if you want that, then don't glue this down. Like I said, it's preference. It's totally up to you. You make it however you want it. So just put some glue on the back there to hold that into place. And then my tassel on this one just kind of hangs off of the side a little bit like that. So I'm going to go in with my scissors and cut that off. Okay. So the top of Levi's hat looks like this. Now I need to work on the top of Kylie's hat, and I always do hers a little bit different. I put the fringe on, but like I said, I always take one of her hair bows and I also glue it on the top because she's a big hair bow wearer, and when you have your hat on, it leaves no room for a hair bow. So on the back of the hair bow, it has the little alligator clip. So I just put some glue back here and I attach it to the top of the hat. This never has ruined her hair bows. These always pull off really good. You will have to peel off the glue, but that's the only downfall of doing this method if this is something that you choose to do. So I want to give you that heads up. So for Kylie's, I'm going to do about the same thing. I want it to hang just kind of right here to the side. So I'm going to take my circle again and put some glue on the back. And then I'm going to put this in place. And with this one too, I have some extra hanging that I'm just going to take some scissors to and get that cut. And then I want hers to stay in place over here as well, so I'm going to pull it back up and put some glue on the back of the tassel so that it will stay in place on top of the hat. That way the fringe can hang over the side. And then for the hair bow, like I said, just putting some glue on the back of this alligator clip, and then I'm going to glue it on top of the hat up here in the corner, making sure I can still see the image pretty good on the top of our hat. So the top of Kylie's hat looks like this with the hair bow and the little tassel over to the side. Friends, there we go. So we have 2 graduation caps completely done. I think they turned out really cute. I really like these ones. Hopefully the kids will think they look just as good as what I do. So I'm excited to show them when they get home today. But the next thing that I need to move on to is getting our balloon weight redecorated. Now this one probably doesn't even classify as a true craft or do it yourself because it's so fast and easy, but I did want to share this one with you guys. So all you're going to need for this one is a balloon weight, a rubber band, and then you need some tissue paper, color, pattern, your choice, doesn't matter. Now, I know that these balloon weights come in all different colors, but if you buy a green one, let's say, to match your event, maybe the next time you need pink. So instead of going out and having to buy color-coordinated balloon weights for your next event, it's really easy just to take some tissue paper and rewrap these so that the colors will coordinate for whatever event or party that you're hosting. So let's go ahead and let's jump into this one. Okay, so starting off with this balloon weight, I have 3 different patterns of tissue paper, but you could use whatever color, whatever pattern. And I'm just going to go ahead and get it laid down flat, and I'm going to put the brightest color of the paper, so this would technically be the back side facing up. And I'm going to get that laid down. Then I'm going to take the next sheet, and instead of laying it completely flat to where all of the edges line up, I'm going to turn it so that they don't perfectly line up. Once again, I'm putting the back side up, and I'm going to get this flattened down. And then I'm going to take this last piece of paper, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to kind of turn it to where it doesn't line up with any of the other pieces of paper, back side up. And then I'm going to take my balloon weight and place it right in the middle of all of this tissue paper. And then we're just going to fold the sides up around the bottom of the balloon weight. Then we're going to take our rubber band. You could use ribbon if you wanted to, but a rubber band is just really fast and easy. So I put that on there to hold all the paper into place, and then just give the edges a nice fluff. And there you go. It's so fast and easy. The last thing that I want to get accomplished today is I have this congrats sign, and this was just a piece of paper that I printed from the computer, and I just glued it on the back of a poster board, like a thick foam board, to make this thicker sign. And I want to get this attached to a chalkboard that I have, and then I want to make like a papered fringe, like a tassel banner to kind of go across the top of this. So I'm going to show you guys how I make my tassel banners using leftover tissue paper that you put inside of presents. But first I'm going to go ahead and get this attached to my chalkboard. Okay, so I have my big chalkboard here, and I'm just going to take some regular tape and make some folded over little sticky tapes is what I like to call them, and just put this on the back of my picture here and attach that to my chalkboard. I like doing this method of making like welcome signs for parties or any kind of event, because I am definitely not the best at drawing any kind of chalkboard picture, so this works out really easy. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I have some leftover tape here, so I'm trying to figure out, I want to cover it the best that I can. So I'm just going to put that in the middle here and push that down. That way I can run my tassel banner going across right here. I'm probably going to have to take some glue onto this to get that off, because my picture wasn't big enough to quite cover this, but that's okay. Okay, moving on to our tassel banner, I'm going to do my very, very best to explain this to you guys. So, like I said, we're just using leftover tissue paper. Feel free to use whatever color you want. But we're going to start off with just one piece here, and we're going to fold it out and get it to lay flat for us. Now, when it comes folded in the package, it normally has a nice crease going down the middle. So we're going to turn it, and we are going to fold it in half following that crease. We're going to get this laid flat and get a nice crease in it following that pre-existing crease. Okay? And then I'm going to start on this side, and we're going to fold it over. I like to make my folds about 2 inches. So I will fold it 2 inches. And then I'm going to fold it again 2 inches, and I'm just going to keep folding this down. closer to the end, I like to stop and take my scissors and cut me off a piece of this tissue paper. I would say you want it to at least be an inch long. So I'm going to cut this all the way down. So we're going to take this piece that we cut and we're going to set this to the side for right now. And we're going to make that last fold. Now sometimes it works perfect to where both of the ends are really flush. But if you have some that's hanging off, you can just take a pair of scissors and just cut them all down even. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take our scissors and starting from the bottom, we're going to cut up about halfway. And then we're going to stop and we're going to go back down to the bottom, and I like to get about 4 of these cut. So I'll go right back down to the bottom and I'll cut up, making sure that I stop cutting at that first spot that we stopped cutting at before. And I'm going to do the same thing with this piece. That way all of my cuts end at about the same spot. Then we're going to take our fingers and we're going to pinch this together right where our cuts stopped. And we're going to hold it into place with one hand, and all of this extra, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to twist this around, getting it as tight as we can. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our glue gun and we're going to take this and we're going to fold it over, making a loop. And we're going to put some glue on the side here to hold this into place. Like I said, just make sure this is as tight as you can get it. So I'm going to take some glue on the side. And then I'm going to fold this over, and on the end right here, I'm going to have it connect to the glue to hold it into place. Then you can kind of take your finger in there and smush all of this out so it makes a perfect round opening, almost like an eye hook. Now you could leave it like this, but to me it kind of looks just a little unfinished. So that's where this piece of tissue paper that you cut down comes into play. So whatever is the front, I like to put it facing down. So I typically make the back where the glue is showing. And I'll put that underneath, and we're going to fold this over, and we're just going to make a basic knot, but be very careful when you do this because the tissue paper can rip very easily on you. So I make a knot in the back, and I typically do about 2 knots. This isn't holding this together, this is just trying to make the front of this look a little bit neater and nicer. So that when we fold it back over, it just kind of, like I said, helps it look a little bit nicer. Now these pieces, you can see they're a lot longer than the other ones. So all you gotta do is just take your scissors and cut them down to size. And then you can hold your little tassel up and you can kind of pull these apart, kind of run them back together. Just whatever you gotta do to get those little pieces separated. And that is how you make a tassel out of tissue paper. And you'll just take whatever twine or string that you plan to use, and then you just run it through this little opening, this little eye hook that you made. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you one more, and then I'm going to get the rest of these made up. Okay, so like I said, starting out, you want to get your tissue paper as flat as you can, especially if you're reusing tissue paper. Try to get a lot of the crinkles out of it. And then following that pre-existing line, I'm going to turn it and I'm going to fold it over onto itself. Folding it in half, and then I'm going to crease it where we see that line. Okay, and going to the shorter end, this is the side that we're going to fold. We don't want to fold it long ways, we want to fold it short ways. So I'm going to make my first fold at about 2 inches. And then I'm going to start folding again at 2 more inches and just keep folding until we get to the very end, or close to the end, I should say. Okay, once I get close to the end, I'm going to take my scissors again and I'm going to cut me off a little strip of this tissue paper. And then make my last fold. Now this one has a little bit more excess hanging out to where it's not as flush. So I'm just going to cut it down. Then I'm going to cut 3 slits all together. It will end up making 4, but we're going to cut 3 times. And we're going to cut halfway up. So I would say that these are probably about 1 inch. So I'm cutting up until I get halfway, and then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to cut this 2 more times. Cutting up to the first spot that we stopped, and then taking this piece and cutting it in half all the way up to where we stopped. Okay, and then up here where we stopped cutting, I'm going to take it, push it all together, hold it with my thumb so that I can twist the top of this as tightly as I can get it. Then we're going to fold this over to make a loop, so we need to put some glue on the side. Fold it over and hold it into place until that glue can set. And then, like I said, you can take your finger in there and kind of smush this down to make that opening a little bit bigger. Okay, then we're taking that strip that we cut off and we're going to lay it down flat. The side where all of the glue is showing is the back side, and the front side is the side that looks the neatest. So I'm laying the front side down onto that strip of paper, and I'm taking this paper in the back and I'm going to fold it into a knot. Like I said, be very careful because it can rip very easily. So I do 1 knot and do a second knot. Then when I hold it up, like I said, you can see that there is a bunch of this extra hanging off. So I'm just going to cut it down to match the size of all the other little tassels. And then you can pull it apart, or like I said, I like to just run it back and forth on my hands, kind of shaking out all of those pieces that are stuck together. Okay, so there we go. We have another tassel made. So I'm just going to repeat the process, like I said, until I get as many made as I would like. Okay, so I have all of my tassels made. I just did red, white, and blue because that's what our school colors are. And I have a piece of twine here that I cut down. So I'm going to go ahead and thread these through here. You see they all hold up really well inside, so I'm going to get this attached to my chalkboard. Okay, so I took some Goo Gone down to that tape that was over here, and it took it off perfect. That stuff is magic. But when I put my twine on, I left it long enough in the back so that I could just tie it off. That way it would hold it into place. But if you wanted yours to drape differently, you know, you could position it however, but I just left mine straight. That way all I have to do is just pull these apart and space them as much as I would like. But I think I'm going to leave mine like this and just space them over the top, play around with it a little bit and see. I think I like them when they were closer together. There we go. I think that turned out really cute. Well, friends, we did it. We basically got it all done, and we made a lot of checks off of the to-do list, which feels like a major accomplishment considering that it's Monday. I'm really happy with the progress that we made today. But I did want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. I had a blast with you guys as always. And be sure to check back in with me because come Wednesday, we need to get some goodies baked up for our little graduation celebration that we're having Thursday. But